Table 7's empty. Go refill them. That's your job, isn't it? Laughter followed instantly, the kind that strips the air from your lungs. Careful, another voice teased. Don't spill it this time. She stood still, the weight of every gaze pressing down like a verdict. They didn't see her as a guest, only as someone meant to serve. The champagne in her hand caught the light, trembling slightly, though her face stayed calm. Inside, something sharper than anger stirred. She smiled, slow, deliberate, and the room had no idea what that smile meant. Gregory Ashford had always walked into rooms expecting the air to shift for him. For decades it did. He was the man with the billion-dollar handshake, the kind whose signature could launch careers or sink them without a ripple. But lately, the power didn't feel quite the same. His company's stock had been sliding, whispers of bad leadership swirled, and each headline seemed to chip away at the empire he'd built brick by brick. That's when Naomi Carter appeared, on his radar. She was the kind of businesswoman people noticed without her having to speak, graceful posture, deliberate steps, eyes that saw more than they let on. Naomi's company wasn't just profitable, it was principled. Built on ethics, diversity, and inclusion, her success radiated a quiet kind of authority. She didn't demand the spotlight, it simply found her. Gregory saw her as his way out. Publicly, he spoke of shared vision and mutual growth. Privately, he planned to charm her into a deal that would lean entirely in his favor. The invitation to his niece's seaside wedding wasn't just hospitality. It was a calculated move. When Naomi arrived, the sunlight caught on her pearl earrings, a subtle contrast to her deep navy dress. She shook Gregory's hand, her smile, warm but measured, like she let him believe he was in control. From the moment she stepped into the reception, she absorbed everything. The way conversations paused a second too long when she passed, the careful glances, the practiced politeness. She wasn't rattled. She had been in rooms like this before, where every smile had an undertone. Gregory thought the night was about saving his legacy. Naomi knew it might be about something else entirely. The wedding shimmered under the glow of chandeliers and the soft rush of ocean air through open balcony doors. Waiters glided between clusters of silk gowns and tailored suits, balancing champagne flutes that caught the light like drops of gold. Naomi walked in step with the elegance of the evening, yet she could feel that slight, almost imperceptible, shift in the air. Heads turned, not in admiration, but in quiet assessment. Gregory's family was the picture of refinement. Their words were coated in honey and their eyes were sharper than crystal glass. "That's such a bold color on you," one woman said, her smile warm but her tone faintly patronizing. Another leaned in, voice low as if sharing a compliment. "You must be so proud to be here, in a place like this." Naomi had heard it all before. The subtle reminders that she was an outsider. She smiled, steady and polite, as if each barb slid harmlessly past her. But inside, she was cataloging every detail, the flicker in their eyes, the pause between their words, the way certain glances passed between them when they thought she wasn't looking. The evening wore on. Laughter and music floated through the air, but Naomi noticed the fractures beneath the polished surface. The groom's younger brother, glass in hand, swayed slightly as he launched into a joke about corporate diversity quotas. The punchline landed with a thud in Naomi's chest. Around the table, laughter erupted, not the kind that fills a room with joy, but the kind that draws a line between us and them. Gregory laughed, too. Her fingers tightened around the stem of her glass until her knuckles ached. She didn't speak. Not here. Later, in the privacy of her hotel room, Naomi placed her clutch on the bed and slowly unzipped it. Inside, nestled. Beside her phone was a silver pendant. She pressed a small latch, and the device whirred softly to life. On its tiny screen, the day replayed. Every insult, every smirk, every burst of cruel laughter. Over the next few days, she kept attending gatherings, a yacht party, a garden brunch, a fireside wine tasting with Gregory's closest board, members. She listened more than she spoke, letting the pendant record in silence. Their words told her everything she needed to know: optics, comforting investors, keeping up appearances. To Gregory, she seemed engaged, even charmed. He spoke of the future they could build together. Naomi simply smiled, knowing the foundation he stood on was already cracking. The final night of the celebrations was meant to be dazzling. A black tie, gala with a live orchestra, gold-trimmed invitations, and a view of the moonlight spilling across the sea. Guests sparkled in diamonds and satin, their laughter mingling with the clink of crystal. Naomi arrived in a floor-length gown, her poise unshaken. If Gregory noticed the steel in her eyes, he didn't comment. Halfway through the evening, the moment came. With a drink in hand and pride swelling in his voice, Gregory gathered his family and business partners to formally welcome Naomi into their world. Cameras flashed, smiles widened. Then, in front of everyone, his aunt's voice cut through the chatter, sharp and careless. "Gregory, dear, are you sure? She's beautiful, yes, but she doesn't fit the family image exactly." The words sliced through the air. Laughter, soft, awkward, but real, followed. Naomi's heart thudded. For a moment, her breath caught, the room narrowing to a tunnel. She remembered every boardroom where she'd been talked over, every restaurant where she'd been mistaken for staff, every time someone made her feel less. But this time, she didn't shrink. Naomi reached into her clutch and retrieved the silver pendant with slow, deliberate steps. She pressed it once. The speakers, hidden among the chandeliers, crackled to life. The room fell silent as voices, their voices, filled the air. Mockery, slurs, thinly veiled insults. Word for word. Naomi's gaze stayed steady, her voice calm. "Everyone should hear what you sound like when you think no one's listening." At first, there was only silence, thick, suffocating silence. Gregory's family stood frozen, their faces pale under the golden light of the chandeliers. Some glanced at the floor, others shifted uncomfortably, as the recording laid their cruelty bare for everyone to hear. A single clap broke the stillness, then another. Within seconds, a wave of applause swept through the ballroom. Not polite, applause. Thunderous. Rising like a tide in her favor. Naomi's chest felt light, almost weightless. For the first time that night, she allowed herself to breathe deeply. The knot in her stomach began to loosen. She saw strangers meeting, her eyes with respect, not pity. Gregory tried to explain, but the damage was already carved into the room's memory. His empire thrived on public image, and this humiliation would follow his family far longer than any whispered gossip. In the days that followed, the recording went viral. Headlines didn't just cover the scandal, they celebrated Naomi's composure, her unshakable grace under fire. Invitations to speak were poured in, not just from corporations, but also from schools, charities, and international forums. Yet the sweetest victory wasn't the recognition, it was the quiet moment. She shared with herself a week later, standing on her apartment balcony, city lights flickering below. She thought about that girl from years ago, who had been silenced in boardrooms and underestimated in meetings. Now that girl's voice echoed across the world. Naomi smiled. They didn't just hear me, they felt me.